Welcome to the Painter Marketing Mastermind Podcast, a show created to help painting company owners build a thriving painting business that does well over $1 million in annual revenue. I'm your host, Brandon Pierpont, founder of Painter Marketing Pros and creator of the popular PCA educational series, Learn, Do, Grow, Marketing for Painters. In each episode, I'll be sharing proven tips, strategies, and processes from leading experts in the industry on how they found success in their painting business. We will be interviewing owners of the most successful painting companies in North America and learning from their experiences. Our guest today is Garrett Martell. Garrett runs 2-Day Painting based in Waukesha, Wisconsin. He graduated in 2014 with a master's in management and business. He's a big believer that you should outsource jobs like marketing and accounting, and he's also a direct mail expert and even owns a second company that runs direct mail for the trades called Tradesfix Direct Mail Marketing. If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. That URL again is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. All right, today we're speaking with Garrett Martell of 2-Day Painting. Garrett, thanks for joining the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I guess give us a little bit of background about you and about 2-Day Painting.
So I started 2-Day Painting in 2014. I actually started with College Pro in 2012. I did the franchise program for a summer and learned a little bit about the painting business. And then I got my master's in management and marketing and graduated and started my own business in 2014, 2-Day Painting. No money to my name, opened up a $10,000 credit card, bought a 93 Plymouth with a wooden ladder rack, and basically just door knocked my way to do about $250,000 that year. And after that, we just continue to grow. And now we're doing over $5 million in revenue. And
wow.
I also started a business down in Charleston, South Carolina, where we, and as a way to keep our painters busy over the winter time period, give them a home for the ones we can't keep busy. And overall, it's just it's a really fun city. You know, I really enjoy it there, and it's fun to start up another branch.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, because whenever we're speaking with owners who are in the northern states, it's definitely something I like to cover. You know, how you're handling winter. You're the first person who's basically providing another home for your painters. How did you choose Charleston, South Carolina?
Well, I like Charleston, the area in general. It's a good scene that I like to be a part of, but there's also, a good amount of wealth down there, and it's warm year round, so we can paint. And I thought it'd be a good market where I'd be able to find enough work to keep my people busy.
Love it. So you've gone from starting 2-Day Painting 7 years ago, I guess about 7 years ago, to over 5 million. That's some pretty impressive growth. What do you attribute that growth to?
Overall, just creating, good systems, putting good people in place, and consistently scaling a little bit every year, consistently adding people to the team, recruiting a little bit, adding a sales rep, and figuring out and learning what works through all aspects of the business. And eventually just kind of start perfecting almost as much as possible. And you get to a point where you can continue to scale.
So let's talk for a second about the systems, if you're okay with that, because I know, a lot of companies, that's something that they struggle with, and kind of getting caught in the rat race, caught in the day-to-day, and sort of seeing this, vision of what they want their business to be. And then the reality is very different. I guess, what are the most important systems? How did you go about creating those? And what advice would you have for painting companies that don't have all those systems in place currently?
So that's a good question. It depends on the size of your company and what you're looking to attain. But if you're looking to grow past the $1.5 million mark, you really need solid sales systems. Number one, you need to be able to teach someone else how to sell consistently, how to create the right price points, have the most success of closing the most jobs in home, set the right expectations, write the detailed proposals, and, overall just teach them ways of being able to get around excuses and objections so that they can be successful. Um, you need various management systems to make sure that you have quality control in the field, that your employees or subcontractors are doing what they're supposed to do, that you're scheduling jobs correctly, communicating with customers on a regular basis, fielding all the calls and emails the way that they should be, so that way you can convert leads and you know take care of your customers well. And just every aspect of the business has various systems that when most painters, business owners, they just do it all at the top of your head. And that's not efficient, but it seems daunting to create all these checklists and all these various things to make sure that everything is being accomplished. But really, if you're going to grow past the point where you're doing it all in your head, you have to create these, and you got to be able to bring in other people and be able to teach them to do the job successfully and consistently.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. So for the owner who is currently doing a lot of this, maybe the owner, maybe his wife is conducting the sales and he's still, maybe in the field painting, or maybe he's just overseeing some crews. What's step one? What should he be outsourcing first?
Well, I would have them. So many painters, they don't outsource anything. They think that they're better, they're going to save money by doing it themselves, and that's not usually the case. The various aspects of your business you should outsource. I think marketing is one of them. I think bookkeeping is another one. I think figuring out, obviously the right software for your business, is another thing to get in place. And really, there's a lot of tasks that you just don't have to do. And hire the right consultant, talk to the right person about an area that you need help in. It's going to cost you a lot more to learn the hard way by figuring it out yourself than just to get advice from somebody that knows what they're doing and can, has been through it all.
Yeah, so I'm interested in this outsourcing the marketing. I guess how did you go about selecting who or company you're going to outsource that to, and what did you outsource first? What was your process like there?
So in the very beginning, I tended to actually do most of it myself. Like I think a lot of business owners do, and you kind of, you trial and error, and maybe you learn the hard way. Or you hire someone in as a marketing coordinator to run a small business, and you're paying them more labor than you're actually spending an ad spend, digitally. And it doesn't make sense for most small businesses. Sure, if we're a large corporation with our own marketing department, that's one thing. But in the scope of it, even me as a $5 million business, I'm a small business.
Mhm.
Especially according to the government, I'm a very small business. There's a lot of functions that can be outsourced much more efficiently and with higher quality control. Then it's hard to really manage an employee. You could tell them to do better the next time, but if you hire someone that really knows what they're doing and they really mess something up, well, at least there's some accountability there. So there's a lot of advantages to outsourcing, especially your marketing, on certain aspects of marketing, like, get good social media posts, make sure you have a good website, of course, add pictures to it, of job sites that you're doing. But when it comes to, pay-per-click ads, there's a lot of different vendors like yourself, that would be a much more efficient and higher quality situation than trying to learn it yourself or hire someone who's not an expert, as an employee. Or, I do some direct mail management as a small hobby business myself. And for example, with my clients, they would have to pay a lot more than what it would cost me, because by the time they hire an individual printer, which I probably have not negotiated that strongly to print their pieces, they're going to pay more than what I would pay printing in bulk. They're going to pay more for their list, just getting a one-off small list and trying to find a vendor that can get you an accurate one. They're going to pay more for their mail house services. And a lot of the times you can get the expertise from someone that knows, like me and you, compared to, trying to figure out yourself and likely pay more in the long run. So bookkeeping is another one. It's going to be a lot of effort to try to learn how to keep your books, a lot of pain. You can outsource that relatively inexpensively and have it managed at a much higher level than what you could do yourself.
Yeah, and bookkeeping especially, a CPA is more likely to find you tax breaks and ultimately could end up saving you money in addition to a whole lot of time. I like that a lot. So I do want to kind of dive into this direct mail business. I know you had kind of told me before we started the podcast you're running this separate business, and direct mail I think is fascinating. I think it's underappreciated by a lot of companies. I think it was the thing and then it wasn't the thing, and personally I think it is the thing again because a lot of people still think it isn't the thing. So it's really underutilized. Can you kind of walk me through? I guess just your thoughts on direct mail, how you started it, and what you think it takes to do it right.
Yeah, definitely. And direct mail is one of those things that it doesn't work for everybody and doesn't work in every area. Um, Different markets perform differently. From my research, some markets absolutely kill it. Other markets struggle to create a positive return on investment. And just like any marketing form, any industry, it's all different. One area, who knows, maybe you're killing a home advisor. Maybe there's no competition and you're just getting really cheap leads. For me, I'm not a fan of home advisor personally. I'd rather not compete and rather grow the brand. And there's a lot of benefits to either doing your own pay per click or your own other forms of advertising. But every area performs differently. And direct mail is one of those things that it has a lot of scalability advantages that most other forms do not have, because you can mass target an area and get in front of people to a higher level. And you can really take advantage of a particular geographic and grow your business, especially if you're a small market and you're trying to grow your business, but you can only get 10 leads a week from pay-per-click, and other forms. Well, now there's you can scale a direct mail business much more efficiently. I will direct mail has other benefits like branding. You got constantly get your name in front of people. I think the low-hanging fruit for most painting business owners is Google AdWords and pay-per-click, and I think that has a spot in most painting business owners' marketing platforms. I think there's a lot of advantages there. You can, as long as you have a smart person managing the campaign, you're not paying ridiculous amount per click. Odds are, you can convert them. The clicks that come in, odds are you're going to be able to be profitable on that, and you can get the people actively searching for you, which everybody uses their smartphones now. I type in something near me for almost everything that I do nowadays. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
But with Google, you do have a lot of other painters on there. You have all the home advisors and the thumbtacks, trying to get, first page Yelps and everything else. And it's difficult to be a strong SEO as a small company, so, I'd love to, talk to you more about that later. But with pay-per-click, you can get in front of everyone. You could probably do it at a very profitable level. So I'm a big fan of pay-per-click. I personally have not had that much success with social media myself, but I know there are painters that have. But I definitely don't utilize that as nearly as good as I should be. But with direct mail, if you can test it out and you can get a rate of, let's say, every 400 people or 300 people that give you a call for a lead, usually the leads tend to be stronger than on some other forms, because personally, I love, you do get more often, a little bit on the older side of clientele. And a lot of my older clients are less likely to shop around. They've likely been burned by a bad contractor in the past. And our closing rates are a little bit higher than with, like some of the other forms like Facebook leads. And you can target to a decent level too. So you can't target quite as high as some digital forms, but what you can do is, eliminate home values under a certain age. You can make sure that you only target single family homes, owner occupied, verified homeowners. You can target by age of home or by income level too, if you'd like. I usually don't target as much by income level because I like my retirees. Those clients are awesome for me. But overall, you can target a decent amount. And if you can consistently get 300 to 400, every one person for 300 to 400 cards, and you're spending on average, let's say 35 cents a card, and you get 1 out of 400, you're spending $120 to $140 on that lead. And if you have a market size of, let's say, 100,000 people that you can hit on a every 6-week basis or so. And getting one out of every 400 people giving you a call, that is from quick math, that's about 250 leads over that 6-week period. It's about enough to keep 2 to 3 estimators busy on your team. And you can scale very quickly with direct mail for the business that's looking to grow and really capitalize on the market. What I recommend for a lot of small businesses is don't do direct mail until you have a decent sized budget. You can send to at least 10,000 homes, and you really want to start scaling your business. Start with a good digital campaign, start with, pay-per-click and the stuff that's not going to cost you a lot of money to print and to buy a list and all the other stuff. And you can usually sustain, most businesses under $1 million in the painting industry can sustain their business through a strong digital platform and at an efficient level.
Okay,
is my advice for most businesses.
Yeah, no, that was super helpful. So kind of build your presence online and get those leads in that way. You won't maybe get as many, but you can get it with a much lower budget, convert until you're at probably above $1 million, and then start maybe leaning heavily into direct mail would be your advice.
My advice is test every different medium and see which is the best for you. Really track your data, put a different call tracking number on everything that you do. Listen to the calls that your office staff is taking. One thing, a lot of clients, they lie about where they found you. They'll be like, oh, I saw your truck, or I was referred by a friend, but maybe they were, but what they actually called you off of was a direct mail piece, and they called that call tracking number. That's what got them to call. So really track your data well, track it by zip code, and then you can actually attribute your spend on a zip code level, especially with direct mail. You can see, okay, how much money did I spend on that zip code? How many pieces were sent out? How many leads did I get? How many of those turned into estimates? How many of those turned into sales? And you'll notice that some of your zip codes and areas perform much, much better than others. And some marketing in some zip codes perform really well, and sometimes they don't, or you're not booking the jobs that, perform off of that lead source. So what I recommend is, small businesses, start with the digital side, but start testing out some different stuff. Put $10,000 in this form, put $10,000 in that form. Talk to an expert like Brandon, who can guide you and hopefully prevent you from making some mistakes. And then track your data well, and that'll give you an answer on what to continue and what to push.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. I find it interesting, this idea that a lot of clients lie about where they found you. I wonder why that is. You have any theories or?
You broke up a bit there, so I didn't hear.
Oh, sorry about that. I said I find it really interesting, this idea that clients are lying, kind of about where they found you. Do you have any theories about why they do that?
I do, and I was surprised at how much they lied as well. I thought it'd be like one here or there, but it's a good like a third to 50% of people that call that tell you a different lead source. And people love seeing referral because they feel like you're going to give them a better deal or come up to their appointment because, they feel like you're more connected if you're doing like their neighbor and that. And a lot of people will just say that. And then, you could ask them, be like, oh, is this someone at work? And maybe they did honestly get a referral, but in my opinion, that's not what made them give you a call. What made them give you a call is maybe that ad they saw on Facebook, or maybe that direct mail, or maybe, they're searching painters near me and be like, oh, I've heard of this guy, I recognize this name, in my opinion, that deserves the credit for the lead. It's fascinating how often I see that.
That is really, really interesting. Yeah, there's a phrase I've heard. I don't throw it around too much. It's a bit, rough, I guess. But buyers are liars. Sometimes when someone comes through, they're not going to tell you everything. I think you're right. I think it's probably this idea that you're friends with them or acquainted to them, so you need to make sure they get special treatment as opposed to, oh, your marketing campaign worked, and maybe they almost just don't even want to admit that the marketing campaign worked, because they're, some people have this idea that, oh, that makes them look like a sucker that fell for something, as opposed to, no, they're smarter than that. Just their friend told them. It's just fascinating.
I just started up my business in Charleston, and I just started marketing. So I haven't really done any work there. And I've already got a couple of people that'd be like, oh yeah, somebody, my friend referred me to you. I'm like, oh really?
Your friend in Wisconsin.
Hey,
Wow.
yeah, my friend in Wisconsin.
That's great. Yeah. That's funny. So I want to touch base on this, this PPC, the Google ads. I think it's great advice. We have found that for some markets, like you said, different things work in different markets. And PPC in some markets is absolutely fantastic. In other markets, Facebook ads tend to outperform. But one thing that we have noticed consistently for a lot of painting companies is they don't recognize how important the inbound sales process is. So they'll have these leads come in and they're not, they don't have a system to follow up appropriately. How you've been talking about having those processes so you can train someone on your team to sell. Can you talk through what's your system like when a lead enters your world? What happens?
Yep. So I mean, they call and we always say, thank you for calling 2-Day Painting. This is Garrett. And psychologically, how may I help you is kind of seen as ingenuine to a lot of people. So psychologically, people like to see gratitude. So that's why we start with thank you instead of how can I help you. But yeah, you need to be able to answer the phone in a positive manner. A lot of the time, sometimes people buy off of the first impression. And that makes a big difference. So you want to be bubbly, you want to be knowledgeable, you want to be friendly, you want to ideally answer the phone or get back to the form fill as quickly as possible. And the biggest mistake I see a lot of painters make is they don't qualify. I'm sorry, they qualify too much sometimes. They think that they can know when a painter or when a customer is going to buy their service by just asking a couple questions, or maybe they're not in a super wealthy neighborhood and they're eliminating a lot of leads that come through. If you're a one-man show and you have way too many leads that you can handle, and you just have too many people calling you and you want to eliminate some estimates, and yes, pick and choose which ones that you want to do. But if you're trying to grow a business or you don't have a limited lead flow, or you're spending a lot of money in advertising to get those leads, don't pre-qualify half your leads out the door. Go do the appointment. I get it if it's not your service or out of your area, or maybe you can set some expectations about ballpark pricing, but you're not going to be able to tell if a customer is going to buy over the phone. Like, it's just unrealistic. You might have a guess and you might be, right half the time, but overall, you're better off just treating every lead like gold, treating every lead, maybe have a minimum job size. And if they're under that, then that might pre-qualify them. Otherwise, field them, hire a sales rep. If you want to grow your business, hire a sales rep, field the stuff, or, simply don't take on more leads if you physically can't handle that many leads.
Yeah.
Don't advertise them at that point.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It's kind of, you have to be forward thinking. So if you think you have too many leads and you're just kind of throwing them away, what we've talked about is raise your prices, so you get, throw them away that way. Don't just disqualify them immediately, because then you're going to get higher margin jobs. You want to lose them that way. And I really like this idea of not just, not discarding leads too quickly, because sometimes people will seem like they're not the best lead. Maybe it's not a great neighborhood, but they need a full interior and exterior paint job, and it ends up being a great lead. That's great. I do want to, kind of go back to this direct mail. If for any painting companies that are listening to this and they, you obviously have a lot of experience in it and you have a company, is there a way that they can get more information about this or contact you so you could potentially help them?
Definitely. They can definitely go to tradesfix.com or 2daypaint.com and submit a form fill, or they can contact me on my cell phone number, 262-473-9627. And I can really walk them through the pros and cons of the program and how we do it. And overall, most direct mail, most people don't do it correctly. And that's the reason why most people don't think it works. They think EDDM is the way to go, which is normally not the case. That's a direct, what the USPS pushes. And they basically send to every home on a postal route. You're not really targeting that well. You're actually paying more per piece postage wise. For whatever reason, it's cheaper to target if you do it right. You're hitting renters, you're hitting apartment complexes, you're hitting low income homes, you're hitting, people that aren't going to buy. So it's difficult to get a positive return on investment. The post office, it's easy for them. It's profitable for them. That's what they like to push. But if you're smart about it, and you get a list, and you figure out, okay, who are the optimal homes and what neighborhoods and what routes, and know, okay, how many homes do I need to hit a certain postage rate in that route, and you fine tune a list, you can save money on postage. You spend about the same amount on printing anyways, but you're going to eliminate homes. And what I do is I help, kind of talk people through that and see if it's a good solution for their business, and then help them find a list, help them design a piece, print with my other clients and my own companies so they can get bulk saving printing prices. And then we manage the logistics and get it out the door and make sure that they hit homes on time.
That's great.
And really,
Yeah, that kind of upfront targeting will help them avoid this fear that a lot of companies have of getting these bad leads that are wasting their time. You're handling that on the front end, which I think is great. What is the biggest struggle for your company right now?
The biggest struggle is just growing production capacity, and balancing it with sales. So I mean, like, we always try to predict, okay, how many sales reps do we need? How many leads do we need? We keep them busy, and then maybe production outpaces sales, maybe it doesn't outpace sales. And then, we start getting a backlog. We've been able to manage it pretty well, but I wish we had an unlimited pool of painters and labor that was good and quality. Every painter in the world does. And overall, there's a shortage of labor in almost every industry right now. It's not just painters.
Yep.
Painters complain about it. It's definitely prevalent in the trades, but there's a lot of work out there, and overall, there's not that many people. People are not having kids quite as much. There's less people entering the population, more baby boomers. We're always going to face a shortage of labor in the industry. It's just, how can you recruit and retain your talent better, and how can you treat your people better? And the biggest thing is, honestly, charge more to your customers. Most painters are afraid to charge the right prices. If you can charge the right prices, you can pay your people well, you can make decent margins yourself, you can grow your business. It's worth charging more and having a lower sales ratio and paying more for advertising, getting more leads in the door, and actually making good money on, the work that you're doing.
Yeah, there's a saying I really like: revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. I really like that. And I think this idea too of you're paying your painters more, but you also have a very growth oriented mindset. So my guess is that when someone comes to work for 2-day painting, they see future potential. It's not just a job. There's potential there for them to advance. Is that accurate, or how do you kind of approach that?
Yep, there definitely is. We want to create a home for them in many ways. We want to have a positive culture. We want to have growth opportunity. We want to, treat everyone respectfully, treat everyone right. And we want to have the total package for our employees so that they feel happy, that they stick around, that we can retain it and continue to grow. And the important thing is, like I mentioned before, you should not be paying more than 50% of the job. And that's on the high end towards labor and materials. You should be, I try to keep that at between 40 and 45% myself for my projects. And that allows you to actually obtain 20-25% net margins at the end of the year. And you really need that in order if you want to scale and actually make money. I've known a lot of painters in the industry, and I've looked at their financials and tried to help them out. And I would identify, well, you're paying 70% on average for labor and materials. That leaves no money for any actual profit made. You can run a $2 million business and you're not going to make money because you're paying out 70% of the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot, some painting company owners don't have their numbers as dialed in as they could. And I think if you don't know your key performance indicators or KPIs, if you don't know your financials, then there's really no way to grow your business successfully. Can you, just kind of a fun question, is there any marketing tactic you've tried that has just been a total flop, or it looked great on paper and it just didn't work out?
I mean, yeah, we tried a fair amount of things. Radio was really not that successful for us. I haven't heard of a painting. We do some like talk shows and stuff of construction. That goes all right, but just a general radio. We're on the AM talk networks. we tried a bunch of different, a little bit with that, especially during COVID, time period when you can get smoking deals. And it went all right during COVID, time when we could get prices for, 5% of the normal rate. But besides that, or just quarantine, I mean, besides that, it, wasn't that successful. Overall, we've never had the best luck with Facebook marketing, spend. I know some companies that do very well with it, but those are the ones who, in my opinion, who build a brand or do unique services like cabinets and, how-to videos and, build an organic audience, which can be very powerful. But just putting Facebook ads saying that we're offering 15% off painting services, I haven't seen many companies, do well with that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that's one of your core services.
No, yeah, it is. It is a mixture. In some markets, we've performed pretty well with that. In others, it's really been needing to go to PPC. It is kind of we even with our experience, we still have to test because it is different in every market, like you're saying.
And yeah, I agree. And I've heard of markets that do very well with Facebook advertising and do awful with direct mail or other forms. And yeah, like you said, test every market.
Yeah, it's just weird, that just every market has its own vibe and its own kind of demographic. Do you have, actually, let me ask you one more question before that one. How do you see the painting industry evolving? Do you see any clear emerging trends for the future that might kind of disrupt things?
I mean, I do. I mean, there's some government possible stuff going on. I don't think it's going to come to fruition, but they might end up banning subcontractors, throughout the US. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would change things quite a bit. I see some people in the industry think that there's going to be consolidation in a way, or a lot of like some more major companies taking more of the market share, or, consolidating in a holding company type model where they, might own a bunch of different companies. I think overall, the painting industry, there's so much work out there and so much demand. I think all of us will be successful as long as we can manage our own business correctly. Put everything in place, put the right systems in place, put the right people in place, and charge the right prices. And, we're in a lucky industry where, we're not all competing against each other. We're competing against our ability to execute our own business model. As far as trends go, I don't know, there's some cool stuff like paint spraying robots out there and some other tools that might help us out in the future, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. Competing against our own ability to run a business. I love that. I love that. Do you have any more advice for other painting company owners? Most of the people listening are not going to be at 5 million, are going to be quite a bit smaller. What advice do you have for them if they want to get to that level?
The big thing is have a clear business plan and infrastructure strategy in place. So, think about what each year looks like and who you're going to need to have in your company and what systems you're going to need to create that. Once you create that, infrastructure of, let's say next year I want to do 1 million, the next year 2 million, and the next year $3 million. I'm going to need, these people for this size of business, these people for this, and create a large to-do list of everything that you're going to need to accomplish. Most businesses, I think 99% of painting business owners don't even have a business plan, number one, and they don't have any of that outlined in detail. And it's tough to accomplish something that you don't have a clear vision on. So I would recommend talking to a consultant or someone who's strategic and, thinking it out, having them review the plan, spend an hour or two with them, just picking somebody smart's brain and, create a good vision for what the next 3 to 5 years is going to look like. And now you can really accomplish that. You can figure out what you need to do.
Yeah, I love that. And at least in Tampa, and I think in a lot of, medium to bigger markets, the city will provide resources and a location to help small business owners in consulting free of charge. But I think very few people recognize that those resources exist and don't take advantage of them.
And other thing too, network, go to PCA events, there's one in Orlando in March. That's the big expo. I think that's huge. Talk to people like myself there and Brandon and other people that are successful in the industry and, and ask them these questions, figure out what a couple of answers you want to do. And we're all very open in the painting industry, which is what I love about the painting industry. You go to these events, nobody hides anything. They're all willing to help you out. Nobody sees each other as competition. We're all just trying to make a living and trying to make ourselves better, and get involved in the various Facebook social media groups, and listen to these podcasts, and better yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. Do you have any other thing that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Um, no, I think that's pretty good. But if anyone ever has any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to share a little bit of my time.
Okay, great. Yeah, appreciate your time, Garrett. This was extremely insightful, and congratulations again on your success. That's really exciting, man. And I'm excited to watch the direct mail business accelerate just as much as the painting company.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey there, painting company owners. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did. And also, if you're interested in taking your painting business to the next level, make sure you visit the Painter Marketing Pros website at paintermarketingpros.com to learn more about our services. You can also reach out to me directly by emailing me at brandon@paintermarketingpros.com, and I can give you personalized advice on growing your painting business. Until next time, keep growing.